The Lantern-Keeper of Wren Hollow, a short story. Chapter 7. The Keeper's Absence. At first light, Wren Hollow looked normal, almost suspiciously so. The church bell chimed on time. Mina's hearth exhaled cinnamon into the streets, and Mr. Bell's library windows glowed warm amber. Children with sticky mittens darted between houses, their laughter carving little paths through the morning mist. But the illusion didn't last long. When Anna reached the square, she noticed it right away. The air was too still. The river murmured, the wind sighed, but the town itself was holding its breath. And then she realized what was missing. No one spoke of the Lantern-Keeper. Not once, not even in passing. When she asked Mina if she'd seen them, Mina blinked like someone hearing a word in a language she didn't know. "The what keeper?" she said, shaping the syllables carefully, like they were foreign objects on her tongue. Anna's stomach twisted. "The Lantern-Keeper," she repeated. "The one who lives at the orchard's edge." Mina frowned faintly, the way people do when trying to recall a dream that slipped out the window at dawn. "The orchard's empty, dear. Always has been. Are you sure you're not thinking of old Samuel? He keeps watch over the scarecrow sometimes." Anna swallowed hard. "Maybe," she lied, because there was no use trying to fill a memory that wasn't there to be filled. The rest of the day passed like a scene stuck halfway between waking and sleep. Every familiar corner of Wren Hollow had adjusted to a small, wrong shape, the kind that only the recently bereaved or newly haunted could notice. At the library, Mr. Bell greeted her with his usual warmth. He handed her a book, smiling his quiet smile. But when she looked down, the title had changed. The Watchers of Wren Hollow was now The Forgotten Orchard. And there, on the first page, where the Lantern-Keeper's name should have been printed among the town's legends, was only an empty line. She stared at it until her eyes burned. "Something wrong?" Mr. Bell asked. Anna closed the book gently. "Just a missing word," she said. He nodded sympathetically. "There are plenty of those these days. Maybe the type presses are getting tired." Anna forced a smile, thanked him, and left before he could see the tears standing in her eyes. At sunset, she walked the pale stone path back toward the orchard. She half expected the world to resist, some invisible hand to bar the way, but the hollow had gone back to its ordinary politeness. The frost was crisp, the trees tidy, the scarecrow waiting where it always had. Only the cottage was gone. No chimney, no tin stars, no scent of herbs or tea. The grass in that patch lay flattened in a circle, as though something had rested there for a long time, and then quietly decided to move on. Anna knelt and pressed her palm to the ground. It was warm, faintly, like a seat just vacated. "You're not gone," she whispered. "You're just forgotten." The blue flame in her lantern flickered in answer, casting her shadow long and strange across the orchard rows. The scarecrow's head turned slightly. Anna jerked upright. "You saw them too," she said. The wind sighed through the apple branches, carrying the faint sound of cloth shifting, straw whispering. The tin face gleamed faintly. "They stayed too long," a voice murmured, not spoken exactly, but folded into the air around her. Anna's breath caught. Who did? The listener, the one who held the hollow still. Her throat tightened. The keeper. The scarecrow's head gave a minute nod. When you gave the button, the balance changed. Memory stayed. But memory needs a shape to live in. The keeper was that shape. Anna clutched the lantern closer. Then it took them, so the hollow could live. The scarecrow was silent for a long while. Then, softly, borrowed things return with stories. The echo of the keeper's favorite phrase. Anna blinked back tears. Then I'll bring them back, she said, voice shaking. I'll give the hollow another story to hold. The scarecrow's ribbon fluttered once, approval or warning. She couldn't tell which. Begin where the forgetting ends, it said, and fell still again. The phrase gnawed at her all night. She sat at her kitchen table, the blue lantern set beside her. The note from Kay unfolded and reread until it felt more memory than ink. When the hollow forgets, you must remember for it. Her eyes drifted to the window. Across the river, the town shimmered faintly, as though parts of it were being redrawn. Some houses flickered, like lights behind thin paper. Begin where the forgetting ends. Anna's mind turned it over until meaning clicked into place. The only place that had not changed, that had resisted erasure, was the river. The keeper had called it the town's oldest listener. The one that carried stories when people couldn't. And the river still remembered her name. She rose before dawn. Mist crawled over the water, thick and silver. The willows bowed low, their reflections reaching so far they seemed to brush the riverbed itself. Anna waded to the edge, lantern held high. You're still here, she said softly. You remember, don't you? The river made no reply, but its surface rippled outward in slow circles, as though it had heard a language it hadn't used in years. I need your help, she said. The keeper's gone. You carried their stories before. Can you show me where they are now? The lantern light quivered, brightened, then cast its glow directly downward. Beneath the surface, something faint glimmered, small points of light, drifting like embers caught under glass. They were moving. Anna realized with a jolt that they were shaped like lanterns, tiny ones, dozens of them, floating deep below, as if caught in an undercurrent of memory. The keeper's lights, she whispered. They pulsed faintly as though in answer. For the next several days, Anna followed the river's turns. Every bend revealed another fragment of forgotten light. One near the bridge, one beside the old millstone, another tangled in the reeds beneath the willow gate. Each time she drew close, the lantern in her hand flickered blue, guiding her like a compass toward loss. She collected them in glass jars from Mina's hearth, who insisted, though she didn't know why, that Anna take as many as she needed. Each jar she filled, the air inside grew faintly warm, as if a heartbeat had found a home again. By the third night, she had 7 jars glowing faintly along her porch rail. The light was soft, not bright enough to wake the town, but enough to keep the hollow's shape from unraveling. Still, something was missing. Anna felt it most acutely when she looked toward the orchard. Every night, she expected a faint glow at the far edge, the keeper's unlit iron lantern, waiting for its match. But the darkness there stayed empty. The 8th jar refused to light. She tried everything. reciting old stories, walking the path backward, whispering to the scarecrow, even leaving a saucer of tea at the circle of grass. Nothing worked. The last jar stayed cold. Until, one night, it began to hum. Anna woke to the sound, a low, resonant vibration that made the window pane shiver. She rushed to the porch. The jars were glowing brighter than ever, their light deepening from blue to silver. The eighth jar, the one that had refused to catch, was shaking gently, as if something inside was trying to breathe. She stepped closer. The hum grew stronger. A voice, faint, distorted, echoed from within. Anna, her heart leapt. Keeper? You remembered? Tears burned her eyes. Of course I did. You told me to. Then you can finish what I could not. The lid on the jar lifted itself. The light inside burst upward, streaming toward the orchard. The other jars followed, their silver trails weaving together like threads of silk until they formed a ribbon across the sky, a single bright path leading home. Anna grabbed her lantern and ran. The orchard greeted her like an old friend trying not to cry. The pale stone path shone beneath her feet, the frost sparkling in sympathy. The scarecrow stood waiting, its head turned toward the returning lights. The silver ribbon descended, coiling gently around the tin figure's arms, chest, and shoulders, until it looked as though the scarecrow were being dressed in moonlight. Anna stopped a few steps away, chest heaving. Keeper? The ribbon pulsed once, then again. The scarecrow's tin face tilted toward her, and from the empty holes of its eyes, faint light began to leak. Borrowed things return with stories. The voice was the keeper's, but not entirely. It was layered now, part river, part wind, part something older that had been waiting its turn to speak. Anna's knees nearly gave out. You came back. I was never gone, the voice said gently. The hollow simply remembered itself differently. The scarecrow's chest flared with light, so bright that, for a moment, Anna thought she saw the keeper standing behind it, smiling, their hand resting on its shoulder. And then, the light faded. The orchard fell quiet again. The scarecrow was still. The silver ribbon had vanished. But, in its place, resting at Anna's feet, lay the metal button. Only now, it was engraved with a word that hadn't been there before. Keeper. She picked it up carefully, holding it as if it might vanish with one wrong breath. Her lantern pulsed blue once, twice, then went still. The orchard, the river, the whole of Wren Hollow exhaled. The night had weight again, color, sound. Somewhere in the distance, Mina's bakery bell rang. Late, but cheerful. Anna smiled through her tears. Welcome home, she whispered. But behind her, at the farthest row of apple trees, something moved. A second shadow, tall and hatless, stepped out from the fog and paused, watching her. And when Anna blinked, the shadow lifted its hand in greeting, its palm glowing faintly, like a lantern that had just remembered its flame. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next week for the continuation of the tale. See you next time.